Good evening. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different, something I haven't done yet, in an effort to practice the philosophy I subscribe to the most, which is Stoicism, and just spread its knowledge. I'm going to be reading Epictetus' Discourses. Basically looks like this. It's the title. It's pretty cheap. You can order it on Amazon, anywhere else, but for those who don't want to read or don't like reading, you can listen. So I'm about to read Book 1, 1.1, basically the first passage in the book. And going forward, I don't know if I'll read them all in order or just read my favorite sections, but I think going forward I will be reading just straight from the books a little more and trying to create original content. So, yeah, I guess just buckle in and get ready to listen to me read. Really, really great stuff, really great knowledge. I find Stoicism, the words of Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, all of them so impactful, and they've helped me so much in my life. I can't recommend it enough. Yeah, I'm just going to get into it. Book 1, Section 1.1, About Things That Are Within Our Power and Those That Are Not. Among all the arts and faculties, you'll find none that can take itself as an object of study, and consequently none that can pass judgment of approval or disapproval upon itself. In the case of grammar, how far does its power of observation extend? Only as far as to pass judgment on what is written. And in the case of music, only as far as to pass judgment on the melody. Does either of them, then, make itself an object of study? Not at all. If you're writing to a friend, grammar will tell you what letters you ought to choose. But as to whether or not you ought to write to your friend, grammar won't tell you that. And the same is true of music with regard to melodies. As to whether or not you should sing or play the lyre at this time, that is something that music won't tell you. What will tell you, then? The faculty that takes both itself and everything else as an object of study. And what is that? The faculty of reason. For that alone, of all faculties that we've been granted, is capable of understanding both itself, what it is, what it's capable of, and what value it contributes, and all the other faculties too. For what else is it that tells us that gold is beautiful? For the gold itself doesn't tell us. It is clear then that this is the faculty that has the capacity to deal with impressions. What else can judge music, grammar, and the other arts and faculties, and assess the use that we make of them, and indicate the proper occasions for their use? None other than this. It was fitting, then, that the gods have placed in our power only the best faculty of all, the one that rules over all the others, that which enabled us to make the right use of our impressions, but everything else they haven't placed within our power. Was it that they didn't want to? I think for my part that, if they could, they would have entrusted those other powers to us too, but that was something they just couldn't do. For in the view of the fact that we're here on earth, and are shackled to a body like our own, and to such companions as we have, how could it be possible that, in view of all of that, we shouldn't be hampered by external things? But what does Zeus have to say about this? If it had been possible, Epictetus, I would have ensured that your poor body and petty possessions were free and immune from hindrance. But as things are, you mustn't forget that this body isn't truly your own, but is nothing more than cleverly molded clay. But since I couldn't give you that, I've given you a certain portion of myself, this faculty of motivation to act and not to act, of desire and aversion, and, in a word, the power to make proper use of impressions. If you pay good heed to this, and entrust all that you have to its keeping, you'll never be hindered, never obstructed, and you'll never groan, never find fault, and never flatter anyone at all. What does all this strike you as a being of small account? Certainly not. So you're content with that? I pray so to the gods. But as things are, although we have it in our power to apply ourselves to one thing alone and devote ourselves to that, we choose instead to apply ourselves to many things and attach ourselves to many, to our body and our possessions, and our brother and friend and child and slave. And so, being attached in this way to any number of things, we're weighed down by them and dragged down. That is why, if the weather prevents us from sailing, we sit there in a state of anxiety, constantly peering around. What wind is this? The north wind. And what does it matter to us and to him? When will the west wind blow? when it so chooses, my good friend, or rather, when Aeolus chooses. For God hasn't appointed you to be controller of the winds. He's appointed Aeolus. What are we to do then? To make the best of what lies within our power, and deal with everything else as it comes. How does it come, then? As God wills. What am I to be beheaded now, and I alone? Why? Would you want everyone to be beheaded for your consolation? Aren't you willing to stretch out your neck, as Lateranus did at Rome when Nero ordered that he should be beheaded? For he stretched out his neck, received the blow, and when it proved to be too weak, shrank back for an instant, but then stretched out his neck again. And moreover, on an earlier occasion, when Epictetus, excuse me for my name pronunciations, came to him and asked him why he had fallen out with the emperor, he replied, "If I care to, I'll explain that to your master." What then, should we have at hand to help us in such emergencies? Why, what else than to know what is mine and what isn't mine, and what is in my power and what isn't? I must die. So must I die groaning too? I must be imprisoned. So must I grieve at that too? I must depart into exile. So can anyone prevent me from setting off with a smile cheerfully and serenely? Tell me the secrets. I won't reveal them, for that lies within my power. Then I'll have you chained up. What are you saying, man? Chain me up. You can chain my leg, but not even Zeus can overcome my power of choice. I'll throw you into prison. You mean my poor body. I'll have you beheaded. Why, did I ever tell you that I'm the only man to have a neck that can't be severed? These are the thoughts that those who embark on philosophy ought to reflect upon. It is these that they should write about day after day, and it is in these that they should train themselves. Thrasea was in the habit of saying, "I'd rather be killed today than be sent into exile." So what did Rufus say in reply? If you choose death as being the heavier misfortune, what a foolish choice that is. If you choose it as being the lighter, who has granted you that choice? Aren't you willing to be content with what is granted to you? So what was it that Agrippinus used to say? I won't become an obstacle to myself. The news was brought to him that your case is being tried in the Senate. May everything go well, but the 5th hour has arrived. This was the hour in which he was in the habit of taking his exercise and then having a cold bath. So let's go off and take some exercise. When he had completed his exercise, someone came and told him, "You've been convicted." To exile, he asked, or to death? To exile. What about my property? It has been confiscated. Then let's go away to Aricia and eat our meal there. This is what it means to train oneself in the matters in which one ought to train oneself, to have rendered one's desires incapable of being frustrated, and one's aversions incapable of falling to what they want to avoid. I'm bound to die. If at once, I'll go to my death. If somewhat later, I'll eat my meal, since the hour has arrived for me to do so, and then die afterwards. And how? As suits someone who is giving back that which is not his own. That was section 1.1. I'm sorry if it isn't coming off right, because there's a lot of conversations between two people, or hypothetical conversations that Epictetus made up during his class. So I don't know how well that comes off, but I hope you were able to learn from that. Hope you enjoyed listening to it. I enjoyed reading it. Once again, sorry for my name pronunciations. I'm not very good at that, but I'll hopefully get better. Anyways, thanks for listening and participating in Stoicism. I'll see you next time.